Hey Travis kiddos, this is your essential math work for the week. We are going to do the textbook pages for subtraction without regrouping. So remember, you go to Think Central, which looks like this. I know my screen looks slightly different than yours, but you're going to click on Think Central. And then this, again, slightly different, but this will pop up. You want Student Edition G1. This will pop up. You want volume B, and then you will come to the textbook. Now, we are going to start on page 234. So you can either type in the page number at the top. If you go to contents, you can go to a specific chapter. So chapter 17, lesson 3, which is subtraction without regrouping. Or again, you can search for the specific page number. You can look at the pages one at a time to scroll up and down or go flip the pages left, right. Or you can, I prefer to look at 2 pages at a time, just like a book. So this week is subtraction without regrouping. So we're going to work on subtracting a 1-digit number from a 2-digit number without regrouping, and also subtraction with a 2-digit number, taking away from a 2-digit number without regrouping. So we will not be trading a 10 for 10 ones this time, but it's good practice to work on subtraction with 2-digit numbers before we get into the regrouping. So there are a couple ways to do this. So you can subtract ones from a number in different ways. You can count back from the greater number. So 48 minus 3, we could count back. So 48, 47, 46, 45. So going back 3. 1, 2, 3, using a number line or counting back 48, 47, 46, 45. That's one way to do it. It is helpful when we're just subtracting ones, but once we get into bigger numbers, that's not the most effective way. So we also practice a different method, which is using a place value chart and subtracting vertically. Okay, so here we have 48, 4 10s, 8 ones, and then taking away 3 ones, so crossing them out. So they have the place value chart and the subtraction written vertically. So 48 minus 3, making sure to line up the 10s and 1s properly. So we always start with the 1s. So 8 minus 3 is 5. Here, same thing. 8, cross out 3, we're left with 5 1s. Now the second step, subtracting the 10s. Since we're not taking away any 10s, we have 4 10s, take away nothing, we still have 4 10s. Okay, so we're left with 45. All of these strategies, you end up at the same number, just different ways to think about it, look at it, and solve the problem. So here's some guided learning. You can practice subtracting 68 minus 6. You can count back. So start at 68, count back 6 numbers. Okay, or you can use the place value chart, crossing out the 6 ones and subtracting vertically here. I'm going to let you solve that one and find the answer. On the next page, there's a little bit more practice, but this is subtracting 10s. So here we're doing 70 minus 40. So 70 is 7 10s, and 40 is, we're going to take away 4 10s. So here, in step 1, lining this up vertically, we're still subtracting the ones first. 0 minus 0 equals 0. We always want to start there even if there's nothing to subtract. Okay? And you notice we're not counting back 41s because that is very complicated, lends to error, and is very time consuming. So using a different strategy is better for these numbers. And then we're going to go to the 10s. So we subtracted our 1s, now we subtract our 10s. So we have 7 10s and we're taking away 4. So they crossed out 4 of the 10s. 7 minus 4. We are left with 3 10s, which they put here. So 3 10s is 30. So 7 10s minus 4 10s equals 30. 70 minus 40 equals 30. Now here they have a check. So using a related fact to get back to the whole. So here we have whole minus part equals part. Here we can do part plus part equals whole. Just to double check that our subtraction was correct, you can add the two parts back together and see if you get to the whole. Okay, so here is some guided learning for you to practice. Again, I'm not going to do this one for you, but it's 60 minus 40. They have it set up here for you to look at the place value charts with the tens in there, crossing out the 4 tens, 6 tens here, crossing out 4 tens, see what you end up with, and the vertical subtraction, as well as thinking about it in words, thinking about the tens. Okay, and the check, so finding your answer, what 60 minus 40 is, add it back to the 40, see if you get to 60, okay? Here, we're gonna do a 2-digit number minus a 2-digit number, but having some tens in there, okay? So, I'm sorry, having some ones in there and subtracting some tens. So it works the same way, but we do have some ones to subtract this time. So 5 minus 0 equals 5, and then you do the tens. So 5 minus 3 equals 2. So 55 minus 30, same thing they show you here with the place value charts, equals 25. Okay, they also show you examples of how to split it up into number bonds. I know I've shown you this as well, of how to think about this. So, and your check down here, adding the parts to see if you get the whole. So they're offering lots of strategies for practicing subtraction this week, which is great. And I suggest if find the one that works for you, which is always going to be the best one for now. But if you've mastered one, try another strategy. See if you can master multiple strategies and look at it a few different ways. You can always check your work in a few different ways, but also getting your brain working in a few different ways is also great. Okay, again, another problem to practice, 58 minus 24. Here we have tens and ones to subtract, so be careful, always starting with the ones, then going to the tens, but again, we are not regrouping this week. And important to remember, just like we subtract left to right, we always subtract top to bottom, we don't subtract up. Okay, that'll be even more important when we get to regrouping, but now's a good time to practice subtracting down. So going down this way, taking away. Okay, here's a little bit more practice for you in a few different ways. So think about what numbers would go before these words. We have ones and tens. Again, just another way to think of these numbers while you're adding and subtracting using place value. And then here, some more practice. Use what strategy works for you, try different ones like I said before, but just do your best with this and try to check your answers to make sure they're correct. If you have finished all of this or you would like to supplement or replace, we do have the workbook pages that are similar to all of this work without the instructions. So those are on pages 171 to 174 of the math workbook. So this is practice 3 of chapter 10. Chapter 17. So just do your best with all of this, and happy learning.